Hi, I am Rajesh. I'm a technical consultant. I work for DBS. Thanks for coming to the Agile to Singapore. Can we have some introduction about yourself?
Yes, so I'm Chris. I'm based in Vietnam. I'm originally from Germany. I'm in Vietnam helping companies to be ready for the 21st century,
Okay.
both in management consulting as well in marketing consulting, and having a good time there.
Okay. Before going on to your topic,
Yeah.
how do you take the company to the 21st century?
The 21st century brought a lot of changes in the past, right? So since 60 years ago, there was a lot of increase of globalization, companies working together all over the world, and there's a lot of change going on. The world's getting more and more complex. Changes are going faster, exponentially faster, and I think there must be a lot of change in the organization, how they work today. So my big question would be always is why, if the world is changing so fast and with all the smartphones being connected all over the world, if these changes are happening so fast, why do we still manage traditional organizations like 60 years ago?
Okay.
So that's what we basically do. We help them to
Okay.
get modern techniques.
From the perspective of your work,
Yeah.
how do you implement Agile in these kind of organizations?
We are actually seeing the Agile transformation not only as a transformation project. We see this actually from top to bottom as a rebranding. So my background is in marketing, right? So that's an easy way to put it in my perspective, right? So the Agile values are things you cannot really do, right? Agile values are things you can be, you can embrace, you can live by them, and that's very important for people to know, right? So if you're actually deciding to say we want to be more agile, it is very important to understand that you basically have to change the way your organization is working, and that might change into a rebranding by living different values you have, maybe different values you have lived before, maybe changing your mission, and in some cases even your vision. So this is what rebranding is about, right? You're coming back to the roots, and you ask yourself again, why do we exist, like Simon
Cool.
Sinek says. Yeah.
Cool. Coming back to your topic,
Yeah.
why only Agile organizations will survive? Why not the other organizations?
Yes, I think that if you look at these 4 Agile values, right? If you go Agile Manifesto, you see these 4 values, and also partly the principles, the 12 principles. All these 4 values, they come down to learning, right? So we are learning by interacting with individuals. We're learning by having working software and learning how we can improve the software. We're learning over time, or the customers learning over time. So we collaborate instead of looking back and 2 years ago at the contract. And the same way we are learning when we respond to change. So it all comes down to learning, and we are always learning all the time. And as we heard during all those topics during these 2 days, right? If you're not learning, if you're not learning faster and faster and faster in this now changing world and faster changing world, you basically have a problem on how to actually find not only people but also find customers, and in the result might not be able to survive. So for example, if I can bring an example, there's one at the time biggest mobile manufacturer in the world, right, who was not learning that the phone has changed, that you need now touch phones, right? There was another company who never did mobiles before, suddenly was disrupting the market with a touch phone, when they were still sticking to their Symbi and QWERTY keyboard.
Thanks
phones.
for being diplomatic, not to mention the mobile company name. That's great. And I have a little contradicting question.
Yeah.
Since you say only Agile organizations will survive,
Yeah.
how can I do Agile in a rocket science? Do you think it is possible
Sorry, in
in a rocket science project?
you will learn as well. You're having a learning organization. You might learn in a
Learning is okay, but Agile is not just learning, right?
the 4 values come down to learning, right? So you might learn in shorter ways than they're doing at the moment, but you're still learning. If you send of course, if you send something to the Mars, you're learning maybe only 4 years later. There's no chance to learn faster, right?
So can I say that your point of view is Agile is not only for software development?
Yes, I think Agile can be used in many ways. So, for example, in my old company, which was a software company, but I was heading the marketing team, we actually implemented Scrum in marketing. Yeah, so we did sprint plannings in our Scrum. In sprint plannings in our team, we made even the planning poker, we had retrospectives, we had daily stand-ups and reviews, exactly like Scrum.
I'm a little bit interested and curious though.
Yeah.
How do you implement Scrum in marketing? I mean, who's the product owner?
The product, it depends, of course. It's the same questions you would have in any organization. Who's the product owner, right? For us, it was a software outsourcing company. So the product owner was basically the head of marketing, so me, right? And I learned from what we're getting into from analytics, for example, or what responses we got, right? It was actually not only marketing, there was also sales involved, right? So we learned on what responses we got from our sales calls. And then in our maybe even sometimes daily cycles, right? That's daily learning with the daily stand-ups. We learned actually, okay, what should we change in our approach of going towards people? What should we change in our newsletter next time? What can we learn from that one, right? And then we moved on like this. We also didn't have really a yearly budget. I mean, we had kind of a goal of a yearly budget, but we did not do the budgeting process. We just had this money available and we can decide, okay, now we're trying a little bit here. Oh, it didn't work. We stopped it and we tried a little bit another way, or we changed a little bit on that way. That was our learning approach.
If I ask you to define or name Agile in a layman's term, so that someone who is not aware of Agile can understand, how will you do it? Very simple definition of Agile. In a simple term such that a common man can understand.
Fast, iterative learning.
Fast and iterative learning. Have you ever applied Agile in your personal life?
I'm learning all the time, right? The same like everybody.
In this case, I have to ask the same question. Is Agile only learning?
Is Agile only learning? I mean, the thing is, it comes down to learning in the end, right? If you're saying, okay, we have self-organizing team, means that, for example, a manager might learn from the team, right? Because they're becoming more leaders than managers. So they're stepping aside and saying, okay, what can I learn from the team? I'm not the person who knows everything anymore, right? Because we're living in a more complex world than 60 years ago, where it was basically said, what you said, in a year, you have 3-5 years plans, you can do that, right? And now here you say, okay, I'm stepping aside, I'm learning what interesting ideas do they have. So of course it's very simple to say it's coming down always to learning, but it has those, let's say, tools like transparency, face-to-face communication, sustainable development, and all those principles where you can say that's all because you want to learn and you want to move on.
Okay, that's really great. And if I ask you something like, when you see Agile, right, it's being fast and furious and have to learn a lot. Can we say that, see, your talk is about only Agile organizations will survive.
Yeah.
Say if some company is implementing or doing Agile, just because the competitor is doing, do you think it will survive?
Then they are not Agile, right? As I said before, Agile values are not exact. Agile values are cores. You cannot do Agile values. You cannot implement Agile values. You can only be Agile or not, right? If you just do it because of the competitor, you're not Agile.
That's great. Thank you, Chris. Thank you for coming to the Agile.
Okay, thank you for having me. It was a great time.
Thank you.